was visiting his grandmother in Mitchell's Plain. It was school holidays, I remember. His grandmother called me to say that he's got a fever and he's been coughing a lot. Nobody can know me, my children, like I know them, so I needed to see what was going on. Eventually we got there, we took routes just to get there. When we got there, I just came into the house and he was lying on the couch in the living room. And I basically just looked at him and I grabbed him. I didn't even talk to anyone, I just grabbed and I said, Lera, we need to rush now. Salads, they love pastas or their favorites. You can cook pasta for them Monday to Monday, they would not mind. So my name is Melissa Lucas. I've got 2 boys. They are aged 5 and 7. This one is a confirmed soccer player apparently. I noticed as he was growing up, the moment he could start walking and kicking, he would kick around anything on the floor. Cody again, busy with too many things. So for him, I'm thinking artist or even a movie star. Gotta be movies.
And then where does Dad pull in at the hospital? Show us.
Dus the way is first daddy.
Oh, the way is first.
Thanks, doctors.
Okay, it's my son from a previous relationship. 8 years old, very quiet, very withdrawn in a sense, also very smart. Yeah, he gets constant 7s at school, which I'm very proud of. But his personality compared to Mason's quite contrasting and different. Mason's very outgoing, very stubborn almost, as you can see.
But this one, I don't know. It's a little firecracker.
After the birth of my first son, everything was fine, the health was fine. I'd say he was around 7 months old. And then he had this cold, and then by the 3rd day I saw that his breathing was a bit fast. And then now this child is breathing fast. The first thing I could think of was rushing to the nearest hospital. I went to the hospital. It was a slight chest infection. They gave him a few nibs and discharged us on antibiotics. It became scary when it started happening the 2nd time, the 3rd time, the 4th time.
When he was born, like any other kid, he had general colds, that type of thing. But especially in winter, I think it was winter, eh? Where
First winter.
the colds, like, we could see that there was definitely something wrong. Because the colds wouldn't get better. He would just sit and he didn't want to move. Not like a normal child would still run down and have a cold. We could see there was definitely something wrong. I think that's when it really hit us, because we had to go with an ambulance. He was so weak. They couldn't take him off the oxygen. He had to be in some kind of room or where there's oxygen all the time.
We rushed to Somerset Hospital. I could see the seriousness of it, because I never saw doctors panic the way they were panicking that day. And hearing them talking about, we have to get the flying squad in, we need to go to Red Cross because they don't have, this is going to need ICU and all these things. You just wish it can be over. There's nothing you can do, and you're looking at your child suffering like that. Sometimes you ask yourself, is it something you're doing wrong? Did you not raise them properly? You don't know where it's coming from.
I personally felt like a bad parent. I was failing somehow because I couldn't understand why he's getting sick.
I think it's a little different when it's your own child. It just feels like it's a little closer to home. You know, I mean, almost the stress that comes with it is also heightened by the fact that it's your own child, and you almost feel helpless because you're not sure what you can do to obviously help ease the chest. Cut grass is a big thing for us. We definitely look out for that. It's the animals that is one of the triggers. And I think one thing that people are probably not so comfortable speaking about is dust mites and bed bugs.
Anything that can irritate asthma, like haze, strong spray smells, the smell of smoke, for example, any type of smoke.
We went to Red Cross Hospital. I think that's when we met the professor, right? And he was the one that said, guys, he actually has asthma. So you need to take the steps on how to deal with it. The 2 years when he went in and out of hospital, we weren't sure if we were using the inhaler properly. So I think that his lungs wasn't getting enough medication as it is. And that's probably why he kept on getting the attacks, because we weren't made aware of how to use it. And the little spacer that's used, the professor told us that each time you use it, most of the medication gets trapped in the spacer itself, so it doesn't reach the lungs as it's supposed to.
Okay, there we go. We have to breathe nicely now, eh? Okay. You want to put this together? Okay. What we've been doing now is try to manage those first symptoms a little better. Okay, so this is the spacer. You have to breathe really nice now, eh? Deep, okay? Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. Breathe, breathe. So the brown one's the Buruflam, it's a preventative. This we'd use twice daily, once in the morning and once in the evening. And then the blue one is the Asthma, and this one we'd administer if he's been running around a lot or there's a bit of tightness in the chest. We usually give him about 3 puffs of this at a time, and every 2 to 3 hours we'd re-administer till it calms the chest down. So, yeah. I think the frustration that comes with it is bigger than the management of asthma. So the brown one's the preventative, so we'd give it to him in the morning and in the evening. And then the Asthma is primarily for when we see he becomes excited and overworks himself. And that we generally give him when he's running around or if he goes to like kiddies parties and things. So for us it's just become more management rather than a treatment of asthma. And it's not something that you'd necessarily go read up on if you're not exposed to it or you have a child with it or something. So I use the word ignorance but very lightly, because if you don't know, you just don't know, and you can't be expected to feel guilty.
When he's sick at home, we can't have a restful sleep because we have to watch him all the time. We have to listen. Is he breathing okay? So it is very, very stressful. And I mean, going to work, you can't stay out of work all the time. And we don't have a full-time nanny that can take care of him. And as a parent, we just feel it's been a long, long, long road.
Are you gonna take mommy where mommy wants to be? Any place?
You don't have a car already.
No, I want you to drive me with your car. Becoming a mother so young and dealing with this, it's been a lot, but it's made me stronger.
I hope and I believe that he will outgrow asthma, because I don't want him to be in hospital all the time. I want him to have a normal life. We joke quite often because he's pretty good for his age in cricket and the way he handles the bat. So maybe he'll be the next South African cricketer if we're lucky.
Yeah.